December 23rd, 2021. From El Cajon, California, this is episode 247 of You Can Bet On That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet On That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. My name is Mark Duvall, and sitting across from me is Dr. Mike.
Hello.
Well, Mike, I am back from ZorkFest in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about that.
Yeah, it sounds like you had a good trip.
Yeah, it was a very good trip. Now, while I was gone, something kind of significant happened at Harrah, Southern California. They added the all small tall to the craps tables.
Although they call it Diceology.
Yeah, it's like
And instead of the small, it's called the little ones. Instead of the tall, it's called the big ones.
Yeah.
And the all is called
Boom or Bust?
Boom or Bust.
Right?
Boom or Bust. Yeah.
So it's a completely different license, even though the concept is exactly the same.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know how the betting structure and everything is exactly the same.
Exactly the
same. So
same.
how did they get around that? I don't know.
Yeah. And it's the higher payouts, too.
Yes,
you know
it's the higher payouts.
That's good to know. That's good.
That's
okay.
very good. Yeah, 175 to 1.
Yeah, for
which
the
is
all.
nice
Yeah.
for the all. Yeah.
Good. Have you checked it out? Have you had a chance to check it out?
I saw it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I've seen it out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's very excited about it. Made the layout a little more crowded because they still have the fire bet and they still have the progressive thing.
Yeah.
So
they still have cards. They
still have the cards, right?
A spot to put the cards.
I'm pushing for the repeater and the sharpshooter bet. We get those on the table. We've got everything.
That'd
Mark.
be fantastic.
Yeah.
There's no room to actually roll the dice.
No,
There's
you
chips
just
covering
chips everywhere. You need $300 on the come out just to cover all the weird bets.
Yeah. So how is this going to affect your play? Because as you know, I don't make the bet, so it's not going to affect my play at all. How do you think it's going to affect your play, Dr. Mike?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to have to put less money on like craps and 11 and three-way sevens and things like that.
Oh, like you do on the come out because you're going to be making that bet,
because I'm going to be making that other bet. But I'm still going to have to cover it. So yeah, it's going to cost me a little more. But Mark, I am going to hit so many of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When the day comes when I'm there for like 4 hours and I've hit the make 'em all 5 times, they're going to suffer. They're suffering out there.
They're going to quit the game.
Quit the game. Craps will be gone as we know it. Another interesting thing, I was told that they're going to get rid of one of their e-craps games.
Oh, right. Because right now they've got 3 regular craps tables.
Traditional tables.
And then 2 roll-to-win tables.
Right.
And you heard they're going to replace one of the roll-to-wins with a traditional table.
With a traditional table.
That's
have 4 traditional.
That's kind of bucking the trend, right? Where a lot of casinos are doing the opposite. That's great.
Right. I mean, it means they need more staff.
Yes.
But I think, at times on the weekends, those 3 get pretty crowded. They could probably do with 4. And if they have the staff to cover it, they probably make more money on those because the limits are higher.
Yeah.
And I think people enjoy it.
Well, sure. And, now that I think of it, I can't think of many times when I've seen both of the roll-to-win tables packed.
Yes.
Or full,
right.
I should say.
Very seldom.
Yeah.
And you know what I'd like? I'd like him to go to 4 regular craps tables and always have one at 15.
Yeah, that at
always.
Least 15.
I mean, even on the busiest Saturday night, have it at 15, and then have 2 25s and a 50.
Yeah, I agree.
Now the 15 would be crowded and everything, but for people who want to play 15,
at least it's being offered.
Yeah, because as it is now, like on a busy Saturday night, you might have 2 25s and a 50, and that's it.
Yeah,
and so that would be nice.
Yeah. Now, speaking of e-craps. Roll to win, basically.
Right.
You heard a story from one of the regulars up at Harrah's,
one of the guys that was out there when I went to get my free play was telling me a story about he was in Vegas at Planet Hollywood, and he was playing on a roll to win game.
Uh-huh.
And a shooter at the beginning of his roll did not hit the back wall, and the pit told him, you have to hit the back wall. This is your warning. If you do it again, we pass the dice.
Yeah.
So evidently, according to the guy who's telling me the story, and I'm getting this secondhand,
sure.
But the guy who's telling the story said that he rolled 30 rolls. His first roll was short, rolled 29 rolls. His 31st roll, one die hit the back wall, but the other one did not. And they made him pass the dice.
Wow.
in the middle of his roll. He still had not sevened out. Yeah. And there was a lot of discussion on the table about that, and people weren't happy. Yeah. And of course, when they passed the dice, the very next person got them and sevened out.
Yeah, right.
So, that made it worse because, then everyone's like totally upset.
So do you think this is kind of an indication that casinos are more concerned about...
Well, the table's smaller.
Yeah.
So I think there's probably several concerns.
Well, the surface is different. I think they're more paranoid about dice sliding or not a lot of action on the dice,
and since the table's smaller, if you're standing next to let's say where a stick person would be, you don't have very far to throw it. Yeah. So maybe they're worried about somebody actually, being able to manipulate the dice somehow and not get a true roll. So if it hits that back wall, it's going to be a better... roll or more random.
More random. Because the policy at every casino is the dice have to hit the back wall.
That's kind of loosely enforced.
Well, yeah, because, you try every time.
Right. But sometimes it slips out of your hand, and one dice will only go like 3/4 the way down the table, and the other one goes all the way. Yeah. Sometimes there's an older person who just can't even get them all the way. We've seen that a lot. Yeah. And they're not doing anything weird. Yeah. But maybe because that's a short table, they're worried about that. One of the pit bosses told me, because I asked about it afterwards, they said, well, they're probably worried about cheating. And she was saying that they were probably worried about a stick person. There's only one dealer there who handles the roll, puts it in the machine. Right. And other person being in collusion. So like a player and a stick person being in collusion and entering the wrong roll so that player wins. Mm-hmm. Although that could probably only happen if, you were the only person on the table.
If you wouldn't get away with it with
other people there, they
table.
Would be like, wait a minute, I thought I, won on that and they didn't win.
It's interesting you say that because the last time I was at Harrah's, they've implemented this new policy that just seems ridiculous to me. On a roll-to-win table, as soon as a shooter has rolled 12 times, right, a minimum of 12 times, the dealer has to yell over to the pit and announce it.
That they rolled 12 times.
12 rolls.
Okay, and then what does the pit do?
As far as I can tell, nothing.
Oh, great.
But they have to be warned, we got a hot shooter here. He's rolled 12 times.
Be on the alert. Be on the alert. There's 12 rolls.
Isn't that weird?
It's
no,
so
seriously,
stupid.
Because, seriously, when I was there, the pit's like, well, okay, thank you. We're aware of it.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Well, the casino's getting real paranoid about it for some reason. I wonder if they I haven't heard of them actually finding some problem.
Well, there might have been problems around the country and the other casinos have said things, or I don't know. It's just stupid, Mark. It'd be like the next time I go play video poker at the bar and I get like 2, 3 of a kind in a row, I'm going to stand up and scream, I got 2, 3 in a row. I'm not cheating, honest. I didn't do anything weird.
That's right.
And I don't have any devices in my pocket.
That's right. The slot manager looks at you, kind of nods and writes something down.
Let's watch him. What are they paranoid of?
I don't know. It seems to me that the casinos should be worried about other things, and maybe they are. There's probably stuff we're not aware of. But, to announce, 12 rolls, thank you. And I guess maybe if it got high enough, 50 rolls, maybe, the pit would walk over and look at it more carefully.
Maybe if there was something, 12 rolls is not that weird.
No,
maybe 40 or 50 rolls, they'd say, okay, this guy's on a hot roll. And then just go watch, just like they do on the real craps table.
Yeah, right.
Right? Every time we get on a hot roll, somebody comes over and starts watching.
Yeah, sometimes from outside the pit. It's like, okay, come check this out.
Because sometimes the bets are getting bigger and they're watching. I understand that. Yeah. If we own a casino, Mark, we're going to be more concerned with keeping the bathrooms clean.
Yes.
And the phones in the bathroom sterilized.
Yes.
Yes,
absolutely. And the TVs on sports.
On sports, I don't want to be watching, an episode of Supernatural from like the 3rd season in the middle where nothing's really happening,
Yep. Hey, in the past, we have talked about crappy casino giveaways.
Right.
Like the one we always hold up is we got a taco holder once.
Yeah.
This thing that holds 2 tacos that you present to your guest when they come over for dinner. I don't know. But
they should have had a week of that where you could earn more. So you could get, where you could present like 12 tacos or something.
So multiple 2 taco containers or bigger containers that can hold more than 2 tacos.
Right, I like multiple 2 containers. Okay. So if you get X amount of points, you get the 2 holder, X amount of points, and it goes for like a month.
Yeah.
So at the end, somebody Great. I earned 42 taco holders, 84 tacos.
I actually tried to give it back. Can I get free play instead? Because sometimes they will do that.
Yeah.
No, you got to take this one.
You got to take the taco holder.
I understand.
We can't return these.
Yeah, I understand. Well, you heard about a giveaway. This is not casino related, but you heard about a giveaway.
It's another stupid thing.
Okay.
So this last week, the New York Giants football team was running a promotion to give away a free Pepsi to season ticket holders.
Okay, when they're at the game.
Okay, So first off, it's not like they're giving them a hot dog, a Pepsi, and, some peanuts or something.
It's not like a whole meal.
It's just one medium-sized Pepsi.
Okay, all right.
Okay. So that, to me, at first, I'm thinking, well, that's pretty chintzy.
Yeah,
These are your season ticket holders. The cup costs 3 or 4 cents, and the Pepsi probably costs a cent. You're giving like 4 cents to somebody, right? And and a lot of people wouldn't even want a Pepsi. They're drinking beer. They don't want to mix their beer and their Pepsi. So it's kind of a weird thing. But evidently, when the season ticket holders went to get their Pepsi, they were told that it was 1 Pepsi per account.
Oh, so if you had more than one seat.
Right. which most people do.
Yeah, right.
You have at least 2 seats.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I know when we did, my cousin would get 6 seats.
Yeah.
We'd all pay for our seat. We each had a seat. But, we didn't have 6 different accounts. We just had it on one.
Right.
Which makes things life a lot easier.
Yeah, sure.
So anyway, it was 1 per account. So if you had 5 season tickets, you go up there, you get 1 medium Pepsi. It's almost like a slap. It's like you're a season ticket holder. That's how much we appreciate
you. It's worse than nothing.
Yeah,
it really is worse than nothing.
Nobody would have said anything because they don't expect anything. Right. But once you're going to give me something, you're going to give me 1 medium Pepsi. Now, to stand up a little for the New York Giants, they did give you the equivalent number of straws you needed.
Oh, that's nice.
So if there were 5, people, you got 1 medium Pepsi with 5 straws.
Yeah. And could you ask for a light ice?
Yeah, no. They didn't use ice, Mark. There was no ice. They used snow from outside the stadium that they gathered. They packed it, and they packed it.
So it's
basically a
like
slushy. Yeah, it's like a slushy.
Wow. Boy, that last part's really something. I don't know if that's true, but...
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, if you're going to give away just a Pepsi, that ice is expensive. Electricity for ice. Oh. That is the lamest. So we found something lamer than a taco holder, or the 6-pack of Pepsi is fine.
Yeah, the 6-pack that we got at the casino. It's kind of, this is it, but it's
per
a 6-pack
person, it's a 6-pack of Pepsi.
I can take that home.
1 Pepsi. I wonder if you could have asked, look, I don't want any ice. Just fill that baby with Pepsi. I brought my own.
Maybe. All right. Well, I am back from ZorkFest, so let's talk about that a little bit. This was held downtown at the Plaza, and thanks to Michael Traeger for kind of organizing everything. Yeah, definitely had a good time. I actually stayed at the Plaza, and it started with a cocktail reception. And this was kind of nice because they were able to get Oscar Goodman, former mayor and former mob attorney, to come in. He's quite a character. He came in and told a story about how when he became mayor, he insisted that any movie that gets made in Las Vegas, he has to have a part in.
Really?
He has to have a cameo. Yeah, that's he laid down the law.
I like that.
Yeah.
Now, see, that's somebody, honestly, you can trust. If he's willing to say that, he's probably not keeping anything from you, right?
That's right.
He's the kind of person who's, I'm upfront about it. I'm going to be in every movie that's made here.
But it was good to see a lot of people I hadn't seen in some time, probably since the last ZorkFest, with the shutdown and everything.
Oh, there's so many people we haven't seen.
Yeah, I know.
It's crazy.
So, and I'll forget. If I try to list off everybody, I'm going to forget. So, I'm not going to try to list everybody.
Well, they know if they were there.
Yeah, I think they'll remember. After the cocktail party, we had a little time before dinner. We actually had dinner at Oscar's, which is at the Plaza. We had some time to kill. We thought, let's go gamble. We went down to Plaza. The craps table was full. The Pai Gow poker wasn't open yet. So we decided to go over to Golden Gate.
Wasn't open yet?
Yeah. Pai Gow poker wasn't open yet.
What time the Pai Gow dealers come in?
7:00.
Really?
This was like a weekend. This was like a Friday night.
We don't do Pai Gow before 7. There's just not a big demand for it.
I guess not.
People play Pai Gow on full stomachs. They don't like those midday Pai Gows.
Well, a bunch of us went over to Golden Gate, and we took over one half of a table, right? There was empty spots on the whole half. So we took it over. We all bought in, took forever, and this woman got the dice. She rolled for 45 minutes.
Wow. Oh.
And then we all cashed out.
Nice.
It was
one shooter.
Yeah, it was so great. Just one shooter, 45 minutes. She made a bunch of points. We all made money, cashed out. And then, the pit called over to the cashier saying, well, I got to warn you, a bunch of cash outs are coming, right? And there's some big chips coming your way. So
wow, that's nice.
Oh, my gosh, it was
is this going to have a happy ending?
Well, that's the end of that part.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe you were going to say, and then we all got food poisoning at the dinner.
Oh, no, there wasn't. It didn't work both ways.
No,
we didn't have to pay for that in some other ways.
You didn't have to sacrifice in some other way.
No, and the meal was fine. The meal was really good. One thing I will say about the meal, there were a bunch of us at the table, but, listeners who knew who I was and listened to the show.
Right.
And I was telling the story about what had just happened. And there was a woman on the other side of the table who was not very familiar with craps or gambling or anything. But she was very curious about, what I was telling this story. And she said, well, what do you think caused that? Was there like an energy, with the people at the table?
An aura?
And Jack, who was sitting next to her, is a listener of ours, and I, in unison, said something to the effect of, you're talking to the wrong person. Knowing my personality.
Right,
I say, no, it wasn't the energy going
She wanted to ask me that question. I would have told her exactly what caused it.
And I'm not making fun of her. I mean, she was very nice, and, she was, we were making conversation.
Well, if you don't gamble, you're thinking, well, what'd you do special to get that, right?
Yeah.
How do I repeat that?
Yeah, right, exactly. So that was kind of fun. And we had actually a very good conversation after that, too. And, she was very curious about different games and things like that. But that was funny.
It's funny, a person in Vegas who's not really into gambling or anything. So much is centered on gambling there.
Yeah, I mean, she was just there basically for the meal and, conversation. It was a very social event, things like that. One thing that happened on the trip, so longtime listeners will know that you always make a horn bet, or what's essentially a horn bet on the come out roll. And a lot of times when a point is established, when the next roll is a horn roll, 2, 3, 11, 12, you used to say all the time, oh man, it happens every time.
It happens all the time, Mark.
Right? And so I said, all right, Mike, I'm going to show you how often it really happens. So I started making those bets.
Right.
And then instead of making the argument for me, I kind of proved your right, because I kept winning, kept hitting it. It's like, okay, fine. So, of course, I still don't believe that, but I've kind of incorporated it into the way that I bet.
Yes.
So I was doing it quite a bit on this trip. And we were at that big roll over at Golden Gate, and I turned to Tim and I said, I've been doing this the whole trip. I have won this bet more often than I've lost it. Not just that I was ahead money-wise on the bet. I had actually won the bet. More than I'd lost it. It should be like 1 out of 6, right?
Right, which is really beating the odds.
So I'm telling him this as I'm throwing in $20 for a horn bet, next roll 12. And he like, what?
Well, I mean, I can't tell you this on the air because I don't want to divulge any trade secrets or anything, but I'll explain to you why it works later.
Okay, good. And then I'll know exactly when and how to bet it every time. We had a couple of video sessions. That is where Tim was able to actually record our play on the floor. We got permission from Plaza. The first was a craps table. And this was kind of unfortunate the way it worked out. We got there early, before the video was set up. And first of all, the dice were cold, which, that kind of puts you in a bad mood anyway. I mean...
Well, that makes for a bad video.
Yeah, that's true, too.
Well, they all lost every time. Great.
I mean, I know we've all been through this, but really, 0.7. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Also, the dealers were not the best. So that was going kind of slow.
Not lively or not just slow dealers?
Well, they were slow dealers, and as a result, they kind of had to concentrate so much that there wasn't a lot of interaction. So I can't blame them for not being, a little more cordial, but again, they were really trying to concentrate. But the thing that really got me was it was a bouncy table, kind of a short, bouncy table.
Right.
And the dice were going off constantly. Mike, one shooter, I'm not making this up, rolled the dice off the table 7 times in a row.
Oh, my God.
7?
Mark, besides losing, that is my least favorite thing. I mean, it's so frustrating.
Well, and the thing that got to me, and Tim agreed with me here, when they were going, and he wasn't the only one. He was definitely the biggest culprit.
Right.
But he wasn't the only one. When they would go off the table, these shooters would not change the way they rolled.
Right.
They wouldn't do anything differently to try to keep them on the table. So it was constant. Oh my gosh.
Well, on those short tables, you either need to roll low.
Low, right.
Right. So it just rolls across the table low. Just throw it enough so that it gets over the center action and then rolls.
Yeah.
And it won't go off. Or you need to throw it long enough that it hits the back wall and bounces back. But if you throw it like just short of the back wall, it hits and bounces
off. And that's what was happening.
So either when that happens once, you have to say to yourself, I'm going to throw it longer to hit the back wall, or I'm going to throw it shorter so it doesn't have room to bounce off, or I'm going to throw it lower.
Yeah.
It's those people who roll with that high arc.
Yeah.
And they think that somehow that high arc helps.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, anyway, once Tim did get the recording going, this was very unfortunate. The stick man, and he knew he was being recorded, he knew the video was going up, took it upon himself to say something inappropriate. Politically inappropriate. I'm not going to repeat it.
Okay.
But, it was like, what? You don't know what kind of people you've got around the table.
No.
You don't say, and he knew he was being recorded. It's almost like he's
in
showing
life,
off.
there are things that you shouldn't say in mixed company.
Yeah, right.
Politics is one of them.
Yeah.
Religion,
Yeah.
because people have have very
they feel
ideas.
very strongly
they
about
feel
of
very
course.
strongly about certain things. So you might feel strongly, and the other guy might feel exactly the other way strongly, which creates conflict.
Yeah.
So keep it nice.
So, it put a damper on the whole evening. It was going so slowly that the video just wasn't engaging at all. It took so long between rolls. And after the dealer made this comment, I just thought, I'm done. And I colored up. And it wasn't too long after that Tim stopped recording too. So that was kind of a bummer.
You would think that'd be something when you're trained as a dealer that they would tell you, look, there are certain things, sports is always good to talk about in a casino because there's sports betting.
Yeah.
The game itself is always good. Say something like, oh gosh, I hope this hard 8 comes up or something. Nobody's against that.
It's almost like this guy wanted to make a point.
Right.
Right. So anyway, the following day, though, we took video of us playing face-up Pai Gow poker. That was much better. And we were having a good time, and some of us were mic'd. And so Tim got some good footage there. One interesting thing that happened while we were there, so there was a fill at the table while we were playing. That's when they bring new chips to the table,
more
right?
Chips.
And as they were doing that, they asked us all to remove our wagers from the betting areas, right? Just to kind of keep things,
so it doesn't get mixed up.
So once the fill was done, we all put our bets out again, and everybody got dealt a hand. And when it came around to Tim, that's when we all noticed Tim had not remade his bet.
Oh, but he got cards.
He already had cards, and the dealer had already revealed her hand.
Oh, wow.
Right? So they called the pit over. Tim said, can I make my bet now, after the fact?
Right.
And they let him.
Oh,
there wasn't a lot of,
Well, if he was making the same bet every time.
That's the thing. He was making the same bet every time. He ended up winning the hand.
If the dealer said, oh, this guy's been betting 25 every time, then fine, I have no problem
So they
with
made
that.
a very quick decision, and it was the right decision, and everybody was happy. So we were very pleased with that. Yeah.
And you guys all won the hand?
Yes. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So it worked out great.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of other things that happened during the trip, and I'm sure Tim will talk about it on his show and, on other podcasts as well. The last thing I want to say, one morning I got up and I went to the table, and there were these drunk hillbillies.
Now, what do you mean by hillbillies?
I mean literal hillbillies.
All
okay.
Right.
And I say this with affection because on my family tree, my branch is pretty close to some hillbillies.
Yeah.
All right. So
well, mine is. My mother grew up in the Ozarks, so a lot of my relatives are hillbillies.
These guys were hilarious. And it was and they were tipping the dealers. They were great players. But it was so much fun. Now, I had on a shirt, you've seen this before, that says, just shoot me.
Right.
Now, it's
a TV show.
It's actually a logo from a TV show.
Right.
But the TV show's old enough. Most people, and it wasn't a big TV show. Most people don't know that.
Right.
So all they see is just shoot me. And they're thinking that. And I'll tell you, one of the hillbillies pointed to his buddy and said, hey, look at that shirt right there. It says, just shoot me. Oh my God. I'm smiling at him and we're high-fiving and throwing shit. Oh my gosh.
It's just like, it is a great saying. It's like, just life, just shoot me, get it over with.
Oh my gosh, they were so much fun to play with. So that was one of the highlights.
Did you ever find out where they were from?
No, I didn't talk to him enough to find out where they were from. But oh my gosh, one was more drunk than the other. Right? You know, kind of like, and his buddy was kind of helping him out,
egging him on. I've never had that where I've been egging on a drunk guy.
So I'm sure I'm forgetting a lot of different things that happened over that weekend, and you know, but another great trip to Vegas, and love staying downtown. Played only 3 places: Plaza, Circa, and Golden Gate. You know, just that triangle there.
Wow, you never made it to like Golden Nugget?
No, you know, we walked through, but ended up those were the only 3 places that I played anyway. No, didn't even walk in there. Binions, none of them. No.
Wow.
No, so, but a very good time.
Yeah,
so,
you played quite a bit. It seemed like to me.
Oh, absolutely.
For those 3 places.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I got a lot of good crap sessions in.
Good. You'll be getting a lot of free rooms and
I hope so.
Free play, well drinks.
Yep, I got plenty of those while I was there. Yeah, Hey, thanks to everyone who's been clicking through our Amazon link. Remember, whenever you're going to buy something through Amazon, please go to our page first. You can bet on that.com and click through our Amazon link towards the top of the page. All right, let's move on to some voicemails. First up is Ariel.
Hey, Dr. Mike and Mark, this is Ariel. We see each other at Harrah's Drink Call once in a while. Been listening to you guys for a while, but first-time caller, so, you know, definitely keep up the good work. Just wanted to do a trip report. So we went to, like, Sycuan Casino, and I didn't know how far it was, but it's freaking far. The casino was nice, 2 stories of, like, gambling area. It's pretty big. They have a section for tables, and they had, like, slot machines. Play some craps. They only have 1 table of craps and 1 electronic craps table, so 2 craps table. Limits were $10, and then at 9 o'clock, they increased the limits to $15. So it wasn't crowded at all, maybe because it's so far. So I played that for a while, and ended up leaving the table $200 down, and then just kind of walked around the casino to see what it was like, because I've never had it. Interesting fact, I usually get like a pineapple juice at the Rincon, and, you know, everything's like comp for us. And I go over there and they're like, oh no, we have to charge you for like the pineapple juice. And then the server was like, I can comment for you if you don't have the points. So she was really nice about it. So I gave her a big tip, but I just got water. On this trip, my parents was watching a Filipino concert or a show. So they were having a good time. And then I decided to go hit up the Buffalo slot machine. I've never won there. I've spent like maybe like over $1,000 on the machine for the life of me gambling. Right. But this time around, I got 4 bonus spins, and I was able to hit like the mini jackpot for like $1,000. So that was a good trip. So overall, my first trip, Sycuan, was really good. Ended up being up at like $1,000 and pretty much had a nice trip and headed back home. The concert was fun too. So my parents like had a good time over there. But I just want to let you guys know, $10 table, not too bad. But it's like an hour and a half from Rincon. It's like 2.5 hours from me. So it's really far. Anyhow, thank you again for what you do. And you guys have a good one. And I'll probably see you guys around.
Yeah, definitely see him out there.
Yeah, if you're driving from L.A., that is a pretty good clip. But, you know, like from my house, I mean, Sycuan's way closer than
25
Harrah's.
minutes, 30 minutes.
Or even from downtown San Diego.
Yeah.
Sycuan is actually one of the closer casinos.
Ones, right.
So
it takes a little while to get there because there's no freeway access.
Right, yeah, you have to go through some mountain roads a little bit.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just as a side thing, Sycuan was the first casino that I ever went to in San Diego County.
And me as well, yeah.
And when it was a card room only, it's before we had casinos.
Right.
They had a little card room out there, and it was small.
Yes.
I mean, the size of a house.
Yeah, it was, yep. Poker is what you're talking about.
Poker,
you could play poker. Right. Mm-hmm.
And then they got Pai Gow poker, and then it kind of took off, and then full-blown casino and stuff. Yeah. We played a lot of Pai Gow poker at Sycuan.
Yeah, a lot. A lot. You have no idea how much Pai Gow poker we played at Sycuan.
It would be hard to explain to somebody how much Pai Gow
And it was quite a culture, too. It's not like Pai Gow that you see in casinos right now. It was, player banked, 3-4 people deep on the table. It was
crowded, betting over each
culture,
other. It was a scene right out of Deer Hunter. I always tell people, it's that scene right out of Deer Hunter.
Where they're all throwing their money betting on the thing.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah. Not surprising they don't get free pineapple juice. That pineapple juice, that, Mark, is liquid gold.
Really?
Baby. That's liquid gold.
What juice would be free?
tomato maybe. Now, I love tomato juice.
Okay.
I know a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
But I like all juices.
Okay, so tomato juice would be free.
Yeah.
But you're not surprised to hear that you got to pay for the pineapple juice.
Yeah. Isn't that weird? Why would pineapple juice? And you know what? It's probably not even fresh.
Yeah,
I mean, definitely not. It's out of a big can that they get at Costco.
Yeah.
That is so weird.
Yeah, so in California, by law, they cannot comp you alcohol.
Right.
So you'd think at casinos, everything else would be comped. Soft drinks, juices, water, that kind of thing, yeah.
The next time I'm at Harrah's Rincon, I'm going to only drink pineapple juice, Mark, just to stick it to him.
I'm going to remind you, okay?
Yeah, remind
It's like you're 6 or 7. I love this stuff, but it's a little much.
Yeah, I
glunk, glunk, glunk.
I love pineapple juice until your mouth is raw inside from all the acid. When we had our honeymoon in Hawaii, I ate so much pineapple.
Oh, I know.
Because it was fresh.
Yes,
I mean, every meal I ate pineapple. I mean, fresh chunks of pineapple juice. I do love pineapple.
I do too.
But maybe that's something new because of the pandemic. Maybe it's hard to get pineapple.
You have to charge for pineapple. I haven't heard that, but
mandatory vaccine here, and we charge for pineapple. We can't do anything about it.
That's right.
Governor
Don't
mandated
get mad at the dealer and the server, okay? Right. They're not in charge.
Mandated by the state.
All right, we're going to hear from Ariel again in the episode.
Buffalo slots too. We should mention that. That's a favorite of a lot of people.
Oh yeah, it's the big slot. I mean,
I don't know why that became the big slot.
Well, everybody loves to see those buffaloes stampede. Yeah. That's why. Who doesn't like that when they're coming at you? Wow.
Yeah, it is kind of fun when the whole machine lights up with buffaloes. I mean, I'd rather have it be like roosters, all
you think
crowing at the same time.
Yeah.
Much rooster slot.
Yeah, you might be in a minority there. So consider
what
that.
animal? What animal is the best for slots?
Yeah, I don't know. Sloth. Almost sounds like slot.
It just lays there.
What's happening? How come this bonus round is taking so long?
So quiet in here. People would love that, a quiet casino.
All right, next call.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. It's Brian from Chattanooga with the quick trip report. It's funny, on one of the last episodes I listened to, you were talking about it being a sideshow for Harris Cherokee, and wow. This is one for Cherokee Valley River, but it is an update I wanted to share with you guys. I went over Thanksgiving holiday, great time, sports betting's going, so you've got that going on in the background while you can hit up the table games. But I was playing blackjack. It's pretty much 25 minimums on everything. Don't be too scared of those. You can still walk away even or not too bad, if you just know when to walk away. But when I was playing blackjack, I was making the side bet every now and then. They have 2 side bets. They have a $5 progression. If you hit 21, you get to spin the wheel. They also have your 2 plus the dealer up card. If it makes a flush or a straight, you get certain payouts. Well, my chips had went off to the side just a little bit, and the dealer said, please put them back on right in the middle. And they said, we have brand new chips within the last month that have RFID chips inside of them. She said, what that does is it allows them to track your play more accurately. That way you're getting, I guess, the right credit for what you're playing. And there's no guess. I guess the strategy a lot of time is you go in at the 25 table, maybe you make $75 bets your first couple of hands, and they put that in. Now it knows exactly how much you're betting every hand, so it's tracking it, and it knows exactly how long you're there because they've entered you in at that certain slot on that blackjack table. So from what I gathered, it's that way on the majority of table games minus craps and roulette, because you don't know who's betting what in those games. You could track it in roulette with, the different colored chips, but then if you're also betting on the outside, hundreds or 25s, you're not going to be able to track that per the player. So it sounds like they're doing that, though, for blackjack. Your Hold'em, they had Spanish 21, stuff like that. They were doing it for those types of games, but not the others. So I'm interested to see if you guys have heard about that or if anybody in Vegas is doing that. But I think it's a good idea to track your play more accurately. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. Thank you, and glad to see you're doing better, Dr. Mike, and looking forward to more shows. Thank you.
Yeah, these RFID chips are very common now, especially with the major casinos.
Right.
It stands for radio frequency identification, and they're able to tell, what chips are actually being wagered at any time. You give your Players Club card to the pit, and then they know exactly what seat you're in, and then you put your bet in the betting circles. They know exactly how much you're wagering.
Right.
Now,
well, they have it at Harrah's Rincon.
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
Because we don't see it on the craps table.
Right, because again, you
don't know who's
you don't really know where your spots are. There isn't like a circle on the pass line. Or
you could be a little off.
Put money in the field. They have no idea who's.
But when you go to cash out, they line all your chips up on their little sensor there and pops up on their screen.
Right, that's another thing. Right, when you go to the cashier, they know how much is there, and if there's a counterfeit in there, they'd be able to tell too, because they'd look at, they'd count it. It'd be different than shows up on their display. Right. It's funny because the chips at Harrah's Southern California look kind of crappy, don't you think? They look like they're cheap.
Yeah,
chips.
It looks like I made them at home.
Yeah,
really.
But they actually have the RFID in them. So, but no, RFID very common in chips now these days. Yeah,
I got a kick out of him saying that if you know when to walk away.
Yeah.
So remember our friend Stan, who one time told us, "I don't know how you guys can lose. Just walk away when you're up."
Yeah, he said, at some point you're going to be up.
Yeah, that was the first thing. At some point you're going to be up. So I guess if I go to the craps table, I buy in, I make a $25 line bet, and 7 comes up, I should just color
up and leave
because I'm up, right? That might be the only time I'm up. That might be the
only time because again, you're going to be up at some point.
At some point, I'm going to be up. It cost me $20 to drive there, but I still got a $5 profit if I just leave right then. And we used to laugh at Stan all the time because he was not joking.
No, he wasn't. And he was a smart guy. This is not like
no, he's a very smart person, but he just that was his thing. At some point you're up, and I'm like, how many times have we gone and never been up? I mean,
how many times?
You lose
this week.
You lose the first 7 out. It's an immediate 7 out, and then you're never up the rest of the night. Maybe you're back and forth a little, but you're never really up. Oh, but anyway, just leave when you're up. That's my advice.
Okay, good.
That'd be a shirt instead of just
t-shirt.
Shoot me.
Yep, here we go.
Just leave when you're up.
All right. Next up is Joseph.
Hey, this is Joseph from Grand Prairie, Texas, just right outside of Dallas. Quick trip report. Went to Vegas with the wife and the mother-in-law, a little birthday weekend getaway type thing. Anyway, our first trip in December, we were kind of curious what it was going to be like, but it seemed like normal Vegas, pretty busy. Everybody had their masks up and all that good stuff, which was nice because my mother-in-law's 75, so we were a little iffy on going, but we had a good time. We hit up a few hotels. Most tables were at least 15 and up. With one exception, I did see a $5 table at the Downtown Grand, but there was a ton of people waiting, so I didn't get to play any craps there. But did hit some good video poker at Westgate, was where we stayed. I got on the machine that was just waiting to give somebody a royal, and it was so hot that even Dr. Mike would have hit a royal on that machine.
Wow.
Nope.
I played it for about an hour. I got dealt 4 to a royal 3 times, probably 3 to a royal 3 or 4 times. But I finally hit it, and I got my first dealt royal, and so that was nice. It was a good way to end the trip. It was right before we were about to leave, so that was good. But that's it. Just a quick one. Hope you guys have a good holiday season, and I'm waiting to hear from you guys next year. Take care. Bye.
Yeah, dealt royal. There you go.
Eventually, seriously, I'm going to hit a royal, and there's going to be some I've got a royal over here, and it's going to take a half hour to pay me because they're going to have to look at the camera, see what I did to get that royal. He's not supposed to have a royal. Right.
Well, Dr. Mike hit a royal?
Yeah.
That's not right. Yeah, let's go to the cameras. Gosh, Mike, even Eric Rosenthal, just here, he tweeted us that he hit a royal after I had gone home. Yeah, but he hit a royal. Yeah. So, just to rub it in to me and Tim and you.
It's not like we don't play a lot of video poker.
All right.
I mean, the amount of video poker we play a week is probably what, say, a guy going to Vegas would play, in a couple of days. Right?
Okay. I know what you're saying, but.
Right. I mean, we play a lot. It's not like it'd be different if we said, occasionally I play. We play video poker every week.
We do. All right, let's stop whining. I think longtime listeners know we haven't hit a royal, all right? Let's move on. Let's move on with our lives. Next call. So on the last episode, we talked about how the Seminole tribe in Florida shut down their sports app, and we were wondering, well, what happened to any outstanding futures bets? Is it refunded? Does it stick, or what happens? Well, we got a call here from Luke.
Hey, this is Luke in Tampa. On the subject of sports betting and what happens to the future bets, I have a horrible bad beat story. I won't bore you with it, but I will say that the answer is they refunded them. Tampa's been on this incredible run the last couple of years with championships in both hockey and football. And one of the greatest experiences ever has been that legalization of sports betting across the nation. New Jersey, DraftKings, New Hampshire, DraftKings, all of these places you could parlay futures, meaning you could bet on a single game and tie it to a future. And for the last 2 years, I've been doing that with Bucks and Lightning futures, several $1,000s, and it's been excellent. So Hard Rock comes to town to open up sports betting, and this has been very confusing time for gamblers in Florida because I did not celebrate the fact that the Hard Rock was going to have the monopoly on sports betting because of the bonuses. These risk-free bets are the greatest thing in gambling. I've chased these things so much that last Super Bowl, I was in New Jersey loading up on risk-free bets. And I tell you, it was an amazing experience to see the money actually show up in my bank account after I lost several $1,000s in bets, and then the other ones parlayed into winnings in the accounts. So we knew we weren't going to get good bonuses when they gave the Hard Rock the monopoly, but, we were starving, like a starving person, to give us some crumbs. So we went and took the measly little $100 bonus, and I got on a heater. I started parlaying Premier League with all kinds of things and ran it up really nice. Made a couple of withdrawals, but I had about $800 in futures tied to the Buccaneers. And, the total payout was north of $4,000. And I got a refund. It wasn't $800 total. I had to cash some of those. So I think my refund was like $236, but it was north of $4,000 in equity that I had on the Buccaneers to win the Super Bowl, to get into the Super Bowl, to win their division, just all over the place. So real Mud Beat stories. Thanks for listening.
Okay, so
his money was in escrow.
Yeah, that's what happened.
That's what we call it, and it was returned.
Yep. So, if you had a futures bet that, you're looking at and it's like, oh, well, there's no way this is going to pay, then great, you got a refund here.
Right.
But for those who things were getting better and better and, suddenly you were looking at positive EV, yeah, that's too bad. Not surprising, though, based on this kind of thing.
Well, speaking of Seminole, I was watching the World Poker Tour.
Oh, yeah.
They've been playing a lot of poker on TV lately.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've noticed.
Yeah,
but
they have been showing. Well, a lot of the World Series,
a lot of World
they're
Series
finally,
of poker, different games.
But this was World Poker Tour you're talking about, right?
Yeah, it was their World Poker Tour Seminole Hard Rock Poker Showdown.
Okay.
So when it got to the final table, this one player, Sonny Franco, had the chip lead, and he had a huge chip lead. I kind of remember them saying he had 70% of the chips on the table.
Okay, so not just a big stack, but more than everybody else combined.
There were 4 people left, he had 70% of the chips.
Okay.
So the other 3 people only had 30%.
Okay.
So, nobody's really close to him at all.
Right.
And he was using his big stack to push people around.
Right, which you should do in that
situation. Which you should do. Mm-hmm. But he was overusing it.
Okay.
To the point where eventually they kind of started catching on that he was raising with bad hands, not mediocre hands like he had caught, second pair or something. He was raising with bad hands.
Yeah.
And they caught on and people started calling him as opposed to throwing him out when he was trying to push him around.
Yeah, because sometimes when you're the short stack, you're thinking, okay, well, I've got a good enough hand, but if I call here and I lose, I'm out of the tournament.
Right.
So, you kind of have to be careful.
You're dealt pocket queens and there's an ace on the flop.
Yeah, sure.
Guy makes a bid bet. You're like, okay, I got to get out of this, right?
Right.
And, that's basically what he was doing. He'd have like 5-2 and he'd just make a big raise and they would throw away good hands.
Yeah.
And, they're making the right move. I'm not saying they were doing the wrong thing, but they kind of, after a while, figured out he didn't have these hands. And it kind of worked against him because he ended up not winning.
But he continued. When they started to figure it out,
when
he
they
didn't
started
stop.
to figure out, he did not stop, and that was his big mistake. And when you're the big stack, you do want to push people around, but there is a point where it becomes counterproductive.
Right. You also don't want to double people up.
You don't want to double people up, right? Because once they get doubled up, they get braver, and then they start calling your hands.
Yeah.
And if you don't have stuff, so
Now, you were telling, this was the third part of, I think, a three-parter, right?
Right, third part of a three-parter.
You were telling me when you were watching the first two parts that you felt this guy was playing brilliantly, right? That he was just like, couldn't do anything wrong.
No, I mean, you know, he would have 5-2, and somebody would be sitting there with pocket jacks, for instance, and he would come over the top with a big raise, and they would go away because they're thinking, oh, he hit a set or, you know, whatever. And he was playing brilliantly. But then in that third one, he just kept doing it, and it caught up to him, and he did not win.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was interesting to see how fast you can go down.
Yeah.
Poker's an intricate game. I'm fascinated by poker.
Oh, well, me too. Sure. Yeah.
Because it's just the intricacies.
Yeah.
You know, it's not,
so much different than any of the other gambling we do.
Right. Exactly. That's what it is. And it fascinates me. And I always think, you know, sometimes it's a good time to bluff, and sometimes it's not a good time to bluff.
Yes.
Right. But people get lost on that. I think the average person doesn't understand.
The average person thinks there's a lot more bluffing in poker than there really is.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's more about position.
Yep.
You know,
position and math and who you're playing against.
And who you're playing against. There's certain reads and stuff. And, you know, certain people are, say, looser than other people and stuff. But there's so much to it.
Yep.
It should be an Olympic sport. What do you think of that? What do you think of that?
Sure. Chess, poker. Yeah. Knock yourself out, Dr.
I mean,
Mike.
there's so much to it.
No.
It's brain power, Mark.
Well, I agree with you there. No.
All right. We'll stick with luge.
All right. Let's hear from Ariel again.
Hey, Mark, Dr. Mike. I just got back from the Great Gift Wrap-Up, so I left on Thursday on my motorcycle. This is Ariel. Got to Vegas, played a little bit of craps, hit the all tall, small with $5, so that was pretty fun. The second day, it was pretty good, too. Played some slot machines, got some buffalo, ended up winning $500 there. That was kind of fun. I had some steak at Homestead. That's really good at Caesar's Palace. I got the ribeye. So I recommend that if you guys are going to go over there if you haven't tried to get it. Saturday, did the Great Gift Wrap-Up. Turns out you didn't have to show up there. You just do the online thing. Another option that they had was like they're allowing you to get free play off of your points for Great Gift Wrap-Up because they run out of the gift cards. So that was kind of interesting. Then left Saturday, went to Laughlin, meet up with my biker buddies, stayed at the New Pioneer, which is kind of interesting. They didn't have any table games since they couldn't get a license, but they do have the bubble crap, and it's $1 minimum and $2,000 max. So that was kind of interesting range, right? $1 to $2,000. Moved over to the Golden Nugget, and it was right next door. Played some table craps. I did really well there too. I just kept getting an 8 and hit the whole tall one time. Fun trip. Now I just need a nap for some time. But it was a really good trip. All right, hopefully you guys having so much fun. Take care.
All right, yeah, Mike. Thanks. I was looking at you. You looked a little confused when he was talking about how, it was all you could do it all online.
Yeah, that wasn't quite true.
No, I think probably what it was is what you experienced last year, where you still have to be there in person. To like get a code or something.
You have to have a room actually at a Harrah's property, not just be there in person. I mean, you couldn't be staying at Wynn and walk over and do it. You actually have to have a room at a Harrah's property, and then you can go online in the property and get a voucher and then order your stuff when you get home.
So I think that's what he was talking about, as opposed to not having to show up.
Right.
Now, he's talking about the free play option. I think that was an option, too, when you went, too,
I think that was last year,
where you could convert your points for the Great Gift Wrap-Up into free play.
Oh, I'm sure they'd rather you do that.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. So... yeah, we've had very good meals at the Homestead. It's basically the steakhouse at Caesar's.
I love the Homestead.
Yeah, we've been there many times.
Yeah, it's a great restaurant. Now, Caesar's is having some problems right now with they're remodeling.
We've heard
the place is a dump.
We've heard a lot of things. What did you hear from one of our friends up at the Harrah's?
One of the Harrah's people was telling me that they went and it wasn't even worth going there, he said.
Everything's torn up.
Everything was torn up. There was no energy because, it's all compartmentalized, and I think he said they only had 2 or maybe 3 craps tables.
Okay,
they had
in that main casino where there's usually like 8, 7 or 8.
Yeah, he's like, I didn't even want to be there. Didn't even want to be there.
Well, Mike, we still have some more phone calls, but I'm thinking maybe we save them for our next episode.
Okay.
Because there's not going to be as big a break between this episode and the next one. We're a little late.
We're a little late
because I was. And plus, it's the Christmas break and New Year's. We're probably going to have less content, right? Not as many phone calls, that kind of thing, because people are going to be doing stuff with family.
People don't gamble over Christmas. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. That's certainly it's in California. It's the law.
It's the law. Yeah. No pineapple juice. No gambling on Christmas Eve.
So we'll hit those calls on the next episode, and we'll just wrap it up right here.
When will be our next one?
So our next episode we'll probably record on January 2nd and release on
January
the 3rd.
2nd.
Yeah, so probably look for our next episode on January 3rd.
It'll be like a New Year's present for everybody.
Yeah, a New Year's present for everybody.
It should have New Year's presents. I've always said that. We have Christmas
a week after Christmas?
Yeah, you just get one present.
Well, like an $8 max?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay,
$8 max, New Year present. And people get stuff like, a set of shot glasses or something that they can use at New Year's, whatever.
All right, I'll probably be getting you one of those Taco Bell boxes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, one of the ones that are a little more than $5.
Yeah, I like
one of the
that.
Nice ones.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm glad there's a limit.
And the change? From the $8?
Yeah, if it's not more than $8, I'll give you the change.
Give you the change too.
Remind me of that, will you please,
that.
Mike? Okay, let's thank some people for some recurring PayPal donations. First of all, Robin from Anytime Gambling. I saw Robin at ZorkFest. Yeah, it was good to see
he's
him.
Doing well.
It looked like he's doing great.
Good.
Also, a donation from Justin, Nathan, Brian Dancer, Brian and Sarah, and Josh.
Now, did you see Joshua or Brian and Sarah?
No, I didn't see any of those.
They weren't there for that. They're saving their money for Biloxi.
Yeah, we're looking Biloxi, right? The very end of March, beginning of April.
March 31st.
Mississippi Rob put his itinerary up on Twitter. So, that's what we're
we should start promoting that now so everyone can take time off from work. And
that's right. Are you committing to it, Dr. Mike?
I'm 95% sure I'll be there.
95, that's high.
95, yeah.
All right,
95.
you heard
There's
it here,
still
folks.
a chance. You never know what can happen, but 95%.
Right. We also got a donation from Richard, who was the one who, when we do our poker tournament.
Does the charity.
Yeah, he actually donates $100 to a charity of the winner's choice. We got a donation for him. He says, for a trip to Vegas from the UK over Christmas, if I'm still allowed to go as of next week. Yeah, hopefully you can go.
Hopefully.
We saw some people who had come from the UK for ZorkFest. So it's still possible, but I think they have to get tested right before they fly or within 24 hours.
And I think
to go back and everything.
There's a bunch of testing.
It's kind of a hassle, but they're doing it. Yeah.
And he should be allowed. He is a good guy.
Definitely a good guy.
No,
yes.
I mean, seriously, as far as human beings go, there's a guy who's, cares about the world.
Yeah, great guy. We also got a donation from David. Just a little karma donation for upcoming trip to ZorkFest. Keep up the great work. And of course, we saw David there at ZorkFest.
You did.
Oh, well, yeah, I shouldn't say we. It was the royal we is what I meant when I was saying it, Mike.
You and the rock in your pocket.
Also, a donation from Nicholas. Here's a little value for value. This isn't a donation. You guys earned it. Oh, that's nice.
That's very nice.
You guys make a great podcast that increases my gambling enjoyment. Happy holidays. Happy holidays to you,
He might be the only person that's ever said that.
Also, a donation from Jonathan. He says, karma donation, Vegas through Tuesday.
Nice.
So I assume that was like a long weekend trip. Hopefully you had some good luck. Also, a donation from Scott, leaving on December 27th for my first trip back to Vegas since September 2019. Love the podcast. Well, good luck to you on your trip.
Good luck. That's a good time to go.
I agree.
That's a great time to go.
Yep. Also, from McGrath, love the show. You guys are great. Thank you very much.
All right.
And a donation from our buddy Eric Rosenthal. I was cashing out at one of the craps tables, and he made up the difference between what I was cashing out for and an even $100 amount.
Wow.
So I could just go to the cashier with $100.
You should have asked the cashier for, whatever, so you had $2,001.
Yeah, I should have come. Oh, Eric, that doesn't do it. Look, I've got a bunch of chips here. I need
$99
here. Yeah. Well, it's good.
He's a great guy. And,
it's good to see
I
him.
wished I had been there to see him.
Yeah.
There's so many people I haven't seen in a while.
Yeah, maybe at Biloxi.
Probably at Biloxi.
Yeah.
Biloxi's a good place. It's in the middle, Mark. I like it. It's in the middle.
Says that great things about it, so I'm sure we'll love it. Hey, be sure to check out our TV listing showing all the gambling-related shows coming up within the next 2 weeks at youcanbetonthat.com/TV-listings and our list of gambling-related movies at youcanbetonthat.com/movies. We'd love to hear from you. Call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS.
9512-WAGERS.
Or you can email us at youcanbetonThat@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at YouCanBetOnThat and on Facebook at facebook.com/YouCanBetOnThat. Finally, please go to your favorite podcast app and write a review of the show. We love getting your feedback. Dr. Mike?
Well, Mark, it's holiday season.
Yes, we want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
And any other holiday that people celebrate.
Yep.
And that's what I'm going to talk about. You know, we're so lucky, you and I, because, well, first of all, we both have great families.
Yeah.
Our immediate and our relatives and everything. And we also do what we like to do, which a lot of people in the world can't say.
Yep, agreed.
And we have a lot of great friends.
Yep.
All over the world, really. And that's another thing.
Well, that's what's so great about being able to do this podcast and have listeners that we've met and interacted with.
Right.
Doing
some that we've gotten to know quite well.
Doing what we love to do.
Right. So for that, we are blessed this time of the year. I mean, it's funny how community, and if everybody just in their own little area had their own community, we'd have no problems in this world, Mark. I'm waiting for that day. and then I'll be driving out to Harrah's with you, and I'll say something, and you won't say, well, Mike, I've got a theory.
Yeah.
and I'm waiting to the day when I never hear that again.
You never have to hear about my theory
I never
about,
have to hear about
the human race.
Your theory about the human
people
race.
And everything, yes.
Right. Maybe I'm a little optimistic, but, I'm always optimistic.
I am too, even though, I complain. I am
Yeah, we're
too.
always optimistic.
Both of us are,
How many times have you and I been at a craps table and been down a boatload of money and looked at each other and said, we're going home winners today? And it doesn't always work out.
No,
but when it does,
you wins.
then I can be on the way home and you want to leave. You wanted to go eat.
All right. Well, happy holidays. We'll talk again next year. Thanks
Stay
for
healthy,
listening.
Have a good holiday and a great new year.
Okay, let's thin this herd. Untucked shirt, no thank you. Born in San Diego, yikes.
An adult named Todd?
So, this is what online dating is like?